Hi, it's Malcz, and I'm doing my second video journal installment for Tech 3030. On week 4, we discussed micro and macro technology trends, or micro delivery and macro trends. There were a lot of variation with that, a lot of information. Not necessarily my favorite part of the course, but something that, I guess is necessary evil. Week 5 was a little bit better for me. It was something I could really, sink my teeth into a little bit better as far as things that might work for my particular situations. It was alternatives to using instructional solutions. So there are different ways of letting the staff know that they're working properly, or letting employees know that things are going well, or how to make improvements, short of starting with an instructional design program. In some places, rewards are given. Sometimes you just need to make a better selection of employees. Job performance aids. I gave the example in my discussion post that I used it for one of the employees in our office. This was kind of nice because it's just a little bit different than what I found with going to courses. Not that I don't enjoy going to classwork or going to continuing education courses, but I have found that sometimes in those situations there's not the transfer of the information back. Therefore, was it really worth doing? I like to learn, so for me it probably was still worth doing, and I try to implement what I can, but sometimes there's problems with that, so that was a whole nother discussion before. So anyways, I did like learning about the other things that are out there, putting a title to those, and being able to figure out maybe some better ways to work within my office. After that, we discussed the difference between synchronous and asynchronous collaboration. We had a nice discussion of the different methods that many of us have used. Because of this course and others, many of us were familiar with Skype, which gives you the immediate type, so the synchronous collaboration. The Blackboard chat also is another method of that. And then we also had some discussion also of the asynchronous collaborations, like the wiki, where every person gets an opportunity to add to it, but they're doing it in their own time, so it's not all at the immediate same time. Delicious is another place where you can go ahead and create an asynchronous collaboration, and it gives you a place where maybe you would have a bunch of links or URLs for different sites that might cover a certain topic. Maybe everybody loves to ski in a group, and you wanted a place where you could put all your different recommended sites of where you get information about skiing and ski lifts and travel opportunities for skiing and whatever. So it was nice to discuss those different places that we've used synchronous and asynchronous tools. So following that, we worked on discussing the responsibility of adult learning, and I think that the majority of us did believe that the adult learner is ultimately responsible. However, the teacher, the instructor, the institution that you're learning from all do have some responsibility as well, but the ultimate responsibility is of the adult learner. I found this really interesting because I did ask this question of several people in my water classes. I asked this question of my husband, and just kind of thought, well, whose job is it to know? And I do think even in children that there is some amount that the child has to take some responsibility for the learning. They have to be paying attention. They have to be doing their homework. Yes, the parent should be telling them to do their homework. The parent should be checking the homework. The teacher should be assigning the homework. But ultimately, the student has to do the work. Otherwise, they're not going to take in the material. So I found that interesting, and I would be very interested to hear if you ask a bunch of freshmen in high school, whose responsibility is it to learn? And I would think that you get a totally different answer than that which our course had found to be that the adult learner is responsible. Following all of that discussion, for several weeks we worked on organizing our group project. Within our group, I did choose to be a coordinator or a leader for the group, which was very simple as far as just trying to set times that would work for everyone. And I think this is something I tell my son all the time. The big thing with that is to be proactive and begin early. Set the set the information out there, and then people were able to join my group based on the criteria that I already set of what my hours are like, what I thought was going to work out well for us, and then I listened to everyone's preferences, and we went from there. We did choose to use the Blackboard chat, which was new for me, so that was really nice, and that was why I was sort of excited to use it. I had never tried Blackboard chat. I tried the Skype, and I've done the wiki, I've done, the Delicious site, I've done all these other things, but it was really nice to go ahead and use the Blackboard. We had a couple glitches with a few people being kicked off. I personally didn't have that problem. I had problems figuring out where I was supposed to be in the first place. But with Corey's help, I was able to get that organized and make sure that everyone else knew how to get to the right place as well. During that discussion, we talked about instructional strategy, and that, it's a plan, it's a design, it's how are we going to go about this before we actually do design our course. And then also we tried to discuss using different technology for delivery and what people have used in the past. What technology have you tried? Have you looked at this? And many of us had taken the time to look at Corey's recommendations, so that was nice, and we could discuss those. Finally, we came to summative and formative evaluations, which was very convenient for me because I had just gone over that in TECH3030, so that was nice and fresh in my mind. The formative being while you're working on the project, while you're teaching something, while you're in the middle of your presentation, and summative being at the end. I even had a discussion with my neighbor about formative and summative evaluations, which I found to be quite interesting. We were talking about our children's math and how the quizzes are graded and how the homework is graded and how that should be the formative evaluation and the summative evaluation to be the chapter end test. And that, if you are grading something as formative, you need to make sure that you're accurate, because in this particular situation, the math questions were just check marked as yeah, you did them and you got to the right answer. But when it came to the summative evaluation, the child was marked wrong because they didn't follow the process or the steps. They still had the right answer, but they didn't follow the steps that were recommended or required. So I think we need to be careful on that sort of thing. So that was another little interesting tidbit for me on that other side. So when we're doing formative evaluations, we need to be sure that we follow through with those, and then we do the summative, it's the same answer. Otherwise, I think things are going really well. I think we're all working on our capstone project and looking forward to that, getting ready for the end of the semester. Hope that everyone is doing well, and I'll see you all soon.